Hare Krishna, Namaste, Chapter 18, which is entitled as Sannyasa Yoga. Sloka 45. sva-karma-nirataḥ saṁsiddhiṁ labhate naraḥ sva-karma-nirataḥ siddhiṁ yathā vindati chṛṇu. After hearing the duties of four varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudras, one may think, what is the necessity for these classifications? How by following one's varna dharma one attains the highest benefit? Moreover, by just performing varnashrama dharma, which consists of karma yoga, how will that lead one to moksha? Because karma yoga does not give moksha. Then how by performing varnashrama dharma one can attain moksha? These questions may arise after hearing the previous subject on varnashrama dharma. So this sloka answers these questions. Varnashrama by itself will gradually raise one to a point of moksha, and that is what going to be explained in the upcoming slokas. Now let's understand the meaning of the sloka. Sve, each his own class, karmaṇy, duties, abhirataḥ naraḥ, the person engaged in saṁsiddhiṁ, perfection, labhate, achieves sva-karma-nirataḥ, one engaged in one's own duty, siddhiṁ, the reward, yathā vindati, how one attains, tat, that, chṛṇu, listen. This is an introduction sloka for the coming up slokas, where Krishna tells Arjuna to listen how it is possible for one by following varnashrama be able to attain moksha. Translation: by following its qualities of work, every man can become perfect. Now please hear from me how this can be done. Krishna is advising and instructing Arjuna to follow his varna dharma. Arjuna's question is, why should I? How this is going to help me? Well, if you follow, you will be able to attain mukti, liberation. Arjuna's question is, how is that me fighting, which is my Kshatriya dharma, will get me moksha? Extending the same question, how a Vaishya by performing farming, cow protection, trading will get moksha? How a Brahmana by performing yaga, yajna get moksha? How does a Shudra by serving the other three classes gets moksha? Here in this verse the term saṁsiddhiṁ has been used. Siddhiṁ means perfection. Saṁsiddhiṁ means supreme perfection or supreme fruit of one's action. We should not conclude that saṁsiddhiṁ means moksha siddhi. One attains moksha, because we have learned quite few times that karma yoga will not get us moksha. It is only bhakti yoga which will get us moksha, lead us close to moksha. Karma yoga will reward only self-realization, called atma sakshatkara, but not the moksha. So the question is, what does it mean by saṁsiddhiṁ? Saṁsiddhiṁ refers to dhyana nishtha, which means a person who performs that yoga will be able to concentrate on the self, atma, and remains firmly in that state. It is called dhyana nishtha. There are two paths that we have studied in chapter 2 and chapter 3, that by performing karma yoga one consciousness gets purified, chitta shuddhi happens, and will be able to enter into Jnana Yoga. And by performing Jnana Yoga, one gets Dhyana Nishta, where one is firmly able to concentrate on oneself and attain Atma Sakshatkara, a vision of the self, self-realization. Or, as per the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, one can continue to perform Karma Yoga and attain the same result of that which Jnana Yoga gives, which is the Dhyana Nishta, by which one will be able to have the vision of the self. This Dhyana Nishta is the starting point for Bhakti Yoga. So one can either continue to perform Karma Yoga to attain Dhyana Nishta, which is the starting point for Bhakti Yoga, or one can perform Karma Yoga and enter into Jnana Yoga and attain Dhyana Nishta, which is the starting point for Bhakti Yoga. So the point that is being made here is one will be able to attain by performing Karma Yoga the same result that of Jnana Yoga, which is Dhyana Nishta. And that Dhyana Nishta is a key element, key factor for one to start Bhakti Yoga. That is why we often hear in many spiritual lectures, especially Srila Prabhupada's lecture, that we are not this body, we are spirit soul. One should become self-realized that they are soul, not this body. Unless one gets that realization, it is very hard for one to come to the platform of pure bhakti. We will be doing bhakti for sure, but it will be only on the surface level. Until we understand who we are, we will not be able to understand who God is, and we will not be able to link the connection between us and God. That is why it is very important to have the self-realization. And Krishna here says in this sloka or coming up slokas that by performing one's karma, duty, karma yoga or jnana yoga, one will attain that self-realization. One more point to note here is Krishna did not just say siddhiṁ, that is siddhiṁ labhate naraḥ, rather Krishna says saṁsiddhiṁ labhate naraḥ. That sam is been prefixed with siddhiṁ. So to convey the message to Arjuna that you are thinking that only through jnana yoga one will get dhyana nishta, but by doing karma yoga perfectly one will get the same result what one gets through jnana yoga, that is dhyana nishta. Therefore you should continue your karma yoga by following your varna ashrama dharma. Otherwise you will not be able to set up yourself in the path of moksha. As we mentioned earlier, neither jnana yogi nor karma yogi can attain moksha directly. They only lead them up to the point where one can start bhakti yoga. And it is only through bhakti yoga that one can attain moksha. This should be clearly understood. If anyone says just by doing one's karma yoga, one will attain moksha, or just by performing jnana yoga, one will attain moksha, we should know that it is not possible. It is not supported. In 3rd chapter 20th sloka, Krishna did mention karmaṇ hi saṁsiddhiṁ astitha janakādayaha. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. We should know this does not mean that King Janaka attained moksha. He attained perfection, the stage of self-realization. He is a self-realized soul. That doesn't mean that he attained moksha in that very life. Also, we hear the story of Jada Bharata, who attained moksha through jnana yoga. Here it is the same case. It is not that he attained moksha by jnana yoga. through Jnana Yoga, then he was able to perform Bhakti Yoga, and it is through Bhakti Yoga that he was able to attain moksha. It would have taken another life or so. So the examples of King Janaka, Jadabharata is to state that they have attained self-realization, Atma Sakshatkara. Doesn't mean to say they attained Paramatma Sakshatkara, God realization. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga may lead one to Kaivalya Moksha, where one enjoys or situated in oneself. But it is Bhakti Yoga which will give Bhagavat Prapti, that is Vaikunta Moksha, Vaikunta Mukti. In both cases, one will be devoid of material body. But in the spiritual world, one will be able to attain a spiritual body, as one wants to be engaged in the devotional service over there. Whereas in the Kaivalya Moksha, one is not inclined towards services. Therefore, that Atma remains by itself without a body. Therefore, going back to the examples of Janaka and Jadabharata, they must have taken birth to practice Bhakti Yoga to attain Vaikunta Mukti. There are no statesmen that says that they have attained moksha in the same life. If at all we hear in lectures or if somewhere it's been mentioned, it means that in due course of time, it is said as Kala Kramena, they attained Mukti, not in the very same lifetime. Because as we mentioned quite few times now, Karma Yoga does not give moksha, Jnana Yoga does not give moksha. It is only Bhakti Yoga which gives us moksha, Vaikunta Prapti, the abode of spiritual world. In our next session, we will learn about different classification within Varnashrama system. Namaste, Hare Krishna.